Asus sent over their GL752VW to take a look at, and basically it's quite a nice 17-inch laptop. There are a few things that can definitely be improved with it, as this is definitely the more kind of budget range of Asus's gaming laptops, but it's still pretty awesome, so do stick around. So starting off the spec, this one is an i7-6700HQ, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, a GTX 960M, 128GB SSD, that's an M.2 SSD, and a 1TB 2.5-inch hard drive, both of which can be accessed from the bottom. On the right hand side you have headphone microphone jack, 2 USB ports, and a DVD/Blu-ray kind of drive. Personally I prefer that these aren't here because space is a premium, but anyway, on the left hand side you've got DC in, some ventilation, mini DisplayPort, HDMI, a folding Ethernet jack, as well as a USB 3 port and USB 3.1 Type-C, which is quite nice. On the bottom you have access to the M.2 SSD if you take that panel off, as well as the hard drive, and you also have a subwoofer, which is quite nice, as well as some other ventilation areas. The screen itself is 17.3 inches and it's 1920 by 1080, and as you can see, viewing angles aren't perfect. Side to side are pretty good, but sort of bottom and top aren't all that great, but since it has a hinge it's not a massive problem, and overall, especially when you're looking at it straight on, it's fairly colour accurate, at least to the eye anyway. The keyboard's quite nice. This has a full British layout for me anyway, so this one is very nice. Nice to type on. The touchpad isn't my perfect touchpad. It's not the nicest feeling, and I don't know whether it's just the distance away from the edge or not, but it was a little bit difficult to use the mouse buttons as they were integrated in. But in terms of performance, it's a fantastic option in terms of like 960M laptops. Obviously, in terms of temperatures, as I mentioned later, this hit 94 degrees on the CPU, so it really is quite a hot machine, but it did run very quietly, so it's kind of a strange trade-off. And as I mentioned later, I don't know if it's necessarily just a fan profile issue or what, but it was obviously very hot but very quiet, so maybe you could change so that it's, you know, a little bit louder but a little bit cooler. But nonetheless, it does a pretty good job. I mean, all of these games are running on very high, or even Doom running on ultra, so as you can see, it is still quite effective, and obviously if you turn the settings to medium or high, then you're going to do just fine. This is also pretty great for things like CSGO, where you're easily going to hit 60 FPS on high settings, so yeah, it's pretty awesome. Obviously very hot, but yeah, pretty nice nonetheless, especially in terms of performance. One quick thing I wanted to mention though is just the sheer amount of stuff that comes pre-installed on this PC. You have stuff like Evernote and Dropbox, as well as a whole host of Asus apps that all pop up as soon as you start up laptops. So that's a bit annoying. So overall, I do quite like the laptop. There are a few things that I'm not necessarily as happy about. Obviously, the fact that it's a massive fingerprint magnet is quite annoying for anyone who does like to keep the laptop clean. The keyboard itself is quite nice. The trackpad is also pretty nice, although it's not as functional for me personally. I don't know whether it's just because of the distance it is away from the sort of edge of the laptop, or the fact that the mouse buttons are kind of integrated into it with you know, done slightly differently. It's just not perfect for me, but obviously if you're gaming on it, you're likely going to use an external, probably wireless mouse as well, so you know, it's not a massive issue, but the keyboard itself is quite nice, which is the main thing. The screen, while the viewing angles from side to side are quite nice, up and down aren't fantastic. Obviously this is a laptop with a hinge on it, so you can move it, so again, not a massive problem. But if you have a couple of people watching, you know, if you're watching a movie on it or something with your partner, it might be kind of, you know, difficult to get it exactly right so you can see the nicest colors. Overall, it's fairly quiet, but it's ridiculously hot. The CPU maxed out at 94 degrees on one of the cores, with a sort of average maximum of about 92 degrees, so it is very, very hot. The GPU actually didn't show up in any of my hardware analysis things in terms of temperature wise, so I can't tell you an exact number for that, but I can assume that since it's part of the same cooling system, you can expect it to be fairly similar. But as I said, it is quite quiet, so maybe there's a fan profile that needs to be changed or something so that it does ramp up a bit more. But regardless, those are the results I currently have, so I'll let you know if anything changes. But regardless, it is quite a nice laptop overall. The I/O is quite nice as well. I don't really like the DVD drive there, because for me, space is a premium on these types of laptops, in fact laptops in general, and I'd rather see an extra SSD, more battery life, better cooling built in instead of that optical drive. But otherwise, it's overall quite nice. Also, it's quite nice value for money in comparison to, for example, the MSI GE72. It's fairly similarly priced, if a couple quid cheaper. It's currently, as of filming anyway, a little less than £1,000 UK. So obviously that's a nice price for people who are looking for gaming laptops but don't have the, you know, 1.5 grand that it takes to get, you know, some of the nicer laptops out there. But yeah, in terms of sort of scoring, I'm going to go for, I think, a 4 for value for money, maybe 4.5 actually. Performance, I'm going to go for a 4. I think functionality, I'm going to go for a 4.5. Styling, I'm actually going to go for a 5. It's a very nice looking laptop, and I'm going to go for a 4 for TechteamGB score. I'm going to go for a silver award because it was ridiculously hot, which is something that I would like to see addressed. Whether it's a fan profile issue or not, it's something that I would like to see addressed because that's very, very hot. But otherwise, yeah, it's a nice laptop. If you're looking for a 17-inch one, personally I'd actually recommend the 15-inch model just because it's a little bit more portable, while still boasting the same specs, pretty much the same price, and all that sort of stuff, and same sort of 4-hour-ish battery life. So yeah, it's a nice laptop. If you're looking for a 17-inch one, check this one out. And yeah, feel free to check out my Asus GL752 video as well, as obviously it's a fairly similar spec with fairly similar pricing too. So yeah, I guess that's that. If you enjoyed the video and you want to pick one of these up, it'd be awesome if you use my Amazon affiliate link or just buying anything else. If you did enjoy the video as well, feel free to subscribe and like. If you didn't, feel free to dislike it, but let me know why in the comments down below. If you've got any questions about the laptop, feel free to leave them down below as well, and I'll try and get back to you. And if anyone owns one of these, feel free to reply to people as well, as owner reviews are better than my opinions, generally speaking anyway. And yeah, I guess that's kind of it. So feel free to check out some of the other videos, we've got plenty, and we'll see you all in the next one.